please, guys, come over. Thank you so much for being here. Jaime, Raúl, Antonio, and Philippe are you in France, right?
Yes, indeed, I am.
Okay, awesome. So I'm from Argentina, so I have a PhD in crisis. So for the past 38 years, I've been looking how companies, how organizations behaves, right? And we find a few patterns. We have the companies that succeed, make it through. They focus on the opportunity. They find new ways of doing things. They forget about recipes. They try to connect the dots in a different way. And on the other hand, we have companies that focus only on what happens outside. And they become slaves of what's going on in the context. So what's the difference? A few of them succeed, a few of them probably don't. So my first question today is for you, Philippe. What are the changes you have been seeing for the past year or so with the pandemic in the middle in terms of customer behaviors? What can you tell us?
Yes. So maybe it's worth highlighting who we are. We are Mano Mano. We are a digital platform. We are a marketplace selling DIY and gardening products to B2C and to B2B customers. And so during the pandemic, we saw a deep change of our environment. Previously, in 2019, people were purchasing on average 5 to 10% of their DIY or gardening online versus 20 to 35% for other household goods. The pandemic and the fact that people had to spend more time in their home actually brought people to spend more online than in shops. Shops were closed for a lot of them. And as a result, we've got a huge step up in where people purchase and how they purchase. And people realize that online they can get more choices, more prices, more advice, and has changed their relationship with their home, thinking, well, actually, I can do things more easily.
Awesome. Thank you, Philippe, for that. So, Raul, what do you think? Present yourself, of course, in a few seconds. In terms of skills, what skills businesses are needed nowadays after this pandemic and after looking for these new needs of the consumer or the customer?
Hello, thank you for the question. Just in few seconds, I'm Raúl, the International Director of Hotmart. That is a platform to help creators to sell digital content. So we are specialized to help people to sell digital content for the last 10 years around the world in more than 166 countries. And the skills now that have to have a company to become digital or to be digital are so many. One of them is, I think that big companies that, like we have in the audience, should look at entrepreneurs. They are so fast in the digital environment. For example, our platform helps creators to transform their passions in business, selling knowledge transformations. And what I am checking, I am traveling all the time around the world, visiting, talking with digital entrepreneurs from Japan to US, that in Spain we should look more to the digital environment as innovation to scale. And it's something that is not really happening, and small entrepreneurs are so good on that. And I see in America, for example, how big, huge companies are innovating all the time, looking what is going on in the entrepreneur environment.
Awesome. So in one way or the other, the four of you are related to innovation, right? So when you see a company, when you see a startup, when you see a small or medium enterprise, what do you see if you consider that as an innovative company? And any one of you can answer that. How can we become more innovative? It doesn't matter the industry, it doesn't matter the size of the company, any of you.
Okay, maybe I can take on that. Well, first of all, I'm Jaime, a managing partner of Intellectium in Madrid, and we are focused on helping companies fundraising, either private fundraising, like financing rounds, or public funding as well. So I would say that definitely we are used to work with startups, and here, like all the atmosphere is startup world, and I think that everyone, following the point of Raul, has the concept of scalability like since the very first moment, or at least they should have the concept of scalability since the very first moment. I think like for SMEs and stuff, like sometimes we take on projects of digitalization of these companies that we actually are surprised that they were not there yet. So like when right now we are already talking about a blockchain or a AI or stuff like that, they're still like a step back, maybe like following on cloud or systems like that. So I think, following the point of Raul again, that the concept of scalability is something that we take for granted in some atmospheres and in some environments, but in some others it's actually the innovation already to bring up that concept.
Yeah, I totally agree. And from my point of view, there is, we say many times the triangle of successful for a company in the digital environment, that is the product, the audience, and the strategy. So you need really a good product to convince that you could transform or to resolve a problem. You need the audience to be sure that you have people that know the product. And you need as well the strategy to convince this audience to buy the product. And what is happening many times is that the entrepreneurs or big companies are just focusing one of them. In US, they are so good in the strategy, marketing, and they forgot many times the product. And I mean, you buy something that is a bullshit, but they are so good selling. And in other countries and other cultures are so good in audience, buying traffic. The Indian guys are amazing buying traffic, but for anywhere. It's like, okay, I have a huge audience. And we are so good in product. We are so focused into have the best product on the world. I mean, I have a really nice product. So from our point of view of Hotmart, you need to connect the 3 points to have a good product, a huge audience, and the right strategy in online to be sure that your audience buy your product.
Awesome. Philippe, any comments? Because yeah? You want
Sorry,
to
Philippe.
Yes,
Yep.
and I fully agree with everything that has been said. But I would add also that maybe one of the things that helps with innovation is the background of the people and of the entrepreneurs and their teams. Because people which have the right background, people come from an industry or off. Oh, I'm sorry, there's someone talking here in the background from your tech team, I think.
We are listening perfect.
Okay, I'm sorry. There's someone talking on top of me here on screen. But basically, I think people coming from a different background than the industry they're trying to disrupt really helps because they don't come with a set mind. They don't come with pre-installed ideas, and that helps them have the ability to actually disrupt the vertical they're in.
Perfect. Antonio, when we talk nowadays about innovation, most of the people or many of them think instantly about digitalization. It's not always like that, but most of it nowadays it is, right? So what are the threats you see for companies to digitalize? Like being afraid of experiment and make mistakes and learn? Governments, regulations, other countries, India, China? What do you think?
Well, thank you for the question. Hello, everyone. I'm Antonio Perez, and I'm at Repsol Foundation. We are running an accelerator for startups, and we also have a venture capital activity for social impact. So talking about digitalization, we are very much focused on the energy sector, and we've been doing digitalization since forever, like all the geoscientists, all the physicists, mathematicians, chemists. But it is true that nowadays we are seeing a shift toward digitalization in like all aspects of the not only in the energy sector. So as I would highlight as a burden or as something to overcome is that we need what we call translators. So we need the software people and the digital people, and then we have the application, the real applications. So what we see a lot in startups is that they are experts in AI or machine learning or whatever neural network, but they don't apply to the real use case. So we try to be this link or this translator and connect the entrepreneurs or the software and the digital side with the problem side. And sometimes it's difficult because you find startups that they can do whatever because they have developed a motor or they have developed a tool and they only need problems to solve. But I would say that it's always good to work a little bit beforehand, before opening to the sector or to the investors, to work a little bit the use case and find really the trouble to solve.
So basically, you put the idea first or the problem first, and if you have a problem to solve, there's a need that someone will pay for it in order for you to exist, right? Mm-hmm. So Jaime, coming back to you, you mentioned before that you help startups to get funded. Mm-hmm. So how much investors look or pay attention to the gap that exists related to digitalization, or the technological gap, or this gap that Antonio mentioned a few seconds ago about focusing on the problem and that problem exists or not?
Okay. I guess for startups, the challenge in terms of digitalization for investors is to see like where the technology lies in terms of the product of the company. So for example, right now there are like many buzzwords, like again, like the ones I said before of blockchain, artificial intelligence, and so on, that many startups claim, and they claim fair, because it's true that they incorporate them. But it's not easy to see like how deep in the product it lies, or how strong the team is in that particular technology. I think this is something that is becoming more and more complex as technologies are becoming more and more complex. And I think that's why many VC funds, for example, right now are incorporating strong tech teams themselves first. And also that technological due diligence are rising. And right now, like Big Four companies already offer technological due diligence to see like, okay, I see this technology, but how deep it goes and how strong you are on that. I guess for corporates, well, I don't know if this is...
The party starts...
Exactly, we're late. So yeah, I'll speed it up. So yeah, I guess in corporates, the problem is more related to what Antonio was saying. And I guess that they don't even have the concept many times of process, product, people. So first, try to solve something purely with process, just like automate a few steps or like the checklist or follow in a way that you will cover every case, and that already many times is not part of the mindset of many people there. Then, if anything, build a product and create a product for that. And last, if you need to hire more people, hire them. But I guess that mindset is part of the gap in non-startup companies.
Pretty clear. So, Philip, let's forget for a few minutes about startups and let's focus on small and medium enterprises. Where do you see them in terms of digitalization?
It very much depends on the vertical, and that was one of the big surprises that we had when we launched in the home vertical. Basically, some of them are very much ahead, and then the companies are ahead in terms of distribution, but the companies that are ahead in terms of digital distributions are usually not necessarily the ones that were big in the other world, in the world of physical retail. And if you look, for example, in our vertical, the companies which have embraced digital distribution are not, very funnily enough, the big brands. It is importers, it's people from abroad, people coming from China, where definitely digital is more convincing and wider spread. And it's these kind of people who have started becoming the biggest producers and importers of goods through the digital channels. And the other kind of competitors, retailers, are embracing it, but much more slowly. But also they have maybe more change to do internally, and that takes time, and that is complicated. We shouldn't underestimate it.
Okay, fair enough. So Raul, continuing with that, how do you think that small and medium enterprises can scale through a digital product?
Yeah, it's very interesting because, as I said before, I travel a lot and I see many different cultures of digitalization. And I think that there are huge opportunity to scale a business with digital products. Hotmart, of course, is focused in digital products. And we see many opportunities, for example, in the first phase, is that before, we told before about the product audience and the strategies, that before to deliver the product or to build the product, try to feel how big is the market, how could be affected the product in the market, what is the feedback of the market for this product through a digital product. So before to build a beautiful chair, you could sell a PDF to how to build a chair, I mean, or other stuff that is very common in other cultures of entrepreneur to check if your business or your product or your company could have successful. But here in this audience that support that are many people with already a company is that how to use a digital product to sell more, to scale my business. So I invite all of you to go through Hotmart to check an info producer or a creator to check the strategies of sell, for example, or other info producer or creator that use a PDF, online course, or a podcast, or any digital content to have or to get more audience, or even to get customers that could buy another physical product or to buy your core business product. And it's very common in US to use a digital product like Tripwire, so to get the customer, because if I am selling a car, it's easier to sell an ebook to how to drive a car, for example. And it's quicker or it's easier to get this customer and then to do the upsell of, okay, now that you know how to drive a car, you have to buy my car. And it's very common, and I see these three huge opportunities to use a digital product to test or to feel how is big the market. The second one, to learn marketing strategies in online. And the third one, to use a digital product as upsell, downsell, or cross-selling for your business.
Awesome. Thank you, Raul. Let's change dramatically the industry, Antonio. What are the startups that you are more excited about? I mean, you work with many startups. What are the ones that you are more excited about in the intersection of digitalization and sustainability?
Well,
Hot topic.
Yeah, hot topic now. Like, we are running a very exciting project. It is called Green Motor, and digitalization is going to be one of the pillars of this project. So you all know about the voluntary carbon market. So you know that in the future, part of the activity of all the companies, all the countries, and individuals are going to be compensated. Your footprint are going to be compensated by planting and by growing forests. This activity has been done from many years before, but now is it going to be credited, validated, and it has to be controlled and monitored. So the business model here, how it goes is there is one client or one country that want to compensate their footprint across the years, and they are gonna plant a forest. So we are gonna be the ones who are gonna plant the forest through one of our participating companies, Silvestris. And then we are gonna, through digitalization, we are gonna monitor this growth via satellite, via drones, via sensors, and we're gonna be validating year by year how the forest is growing. We're gonna care about the forest, like with wildfires and preventing as an asset, We have to protect the asset, and we're going to be uh, certified or through a third party or through this. And this is a market that is going to explode in a couple of years. You are now seeing even individuals, when you get a flight, you can donate an euro to compensate the footprint of your flight through the plantation of forests. So I think it's really, really exciting, and it's going to change the world. And
Can we invest on it?
yes.
Okay, awesome. Take notes. And in terms of Repsol Foundation strategy, what are you doing in terms of that intersection?
So this for example, is one of the project, and I was saying that we have on the one hand the accelerator for startups in the energy sector. Here also we are seeing a lot of activities aimed at reducing the carbon footprint or in the fields of circular economy and also efficiency. Like we see a lot of IoT sensors that are going to bring and work with an algorithm behind to do the process more efficient. And then we have, on the other hand, the social impact venture activity. And these companies that we take a participation and we help them grow, they have like a lot of impact, not only environmental, but also in the employability in the country. We are very focused now in this project in Spain and Portugal. For example, for the Green Motor project, we aimed at the Iberian Peninsula, Spain and Portugal, to make them the sink of CO2 of the European continent. So I think we are really engaged and excited about it.
Awesome. Congratulations. Jaime, what you do has been done for many years in many different ways. How do you see the evolution of that to a digital version?
I would say that there are like two areas of it. So one of them would be like the tools already, like for finance management, for example. It is funny that like even now, 2021, it's not so easy to find like many financial tools for day-to-day use or that friendly to the user or the management of a company that are not like directly based on an Excel file by today. So there are some startups right now growing like Orama, there's Abacum as well, and seeing them like rise right now, it means that there's definitely a gap there still on the user side for the financial management. Again, I think it's funny because it's like a huge market. In the end, like every single company, I'd say, that would need it. And I also see that another part of the story is on the investing side. Actually, recently, I don't know if it was this week or last week, that a new law was proposed in order to lower the limit for private investors to invest in venture capital funds. Or now with blockchain, actually, thanks to digitalization, they're like popping up STOs, such that you can fund, for example, a venture capital fund on a similar way than you would like that you would fundraise doing an IPO in the stock market. Such that, it's a oversimplified way of putting it, but in the very end, it would mean that any random person could buy a token of a venture capital fund and start investing on the fund. This is something that could not exist very few years ago, and hopefully it will help, like democratizing, which is also one of these buzzwords in startup, will help democratizing investing in our world, in our startup world.
Awesome. Thank you, Jaime. We have only 4 minutes, so 1 minute for each one of you. One last question. Thinking forward, what are the challenges and the opportunities for your own businesses in order to get more digitalized and to give even access to more people? So anyone? Philippe, do you want to start?
Yes, sure. Happy to do that. I think the biggest challenge is the production. It's actually the hardware, the goods. We've got 800 people at Mano Mano. We did 1.2 billion last year of sales. But let's face it, a lot of the products we sell come from outside of Europe. And the real problem of digitalization is being able to qualify your products, to know them well enough, despite not actually touching the product. And that only happens if you've got the good quality of description of products when they're built, if they're built with the right kind of attributes. And that is a link between technology and hardware, between manufacturing and digital selling, which is not easy to create. And so that's one of our challenges at Mano Mano, which is having the right digital inputs to be able to have digital retail coming from hardware manufacturers.
Awesome. Thank you, Philippe. Who wants to continue? Raul.
Yes, I have in mind two challenges. First, from Hotmart is to help as much as people to become digital around the world. We are operating in more than 160 countries with more than 20 offices, and our dream is to be bigger. But on the other hand, my main challenge is to help these people. I mean, I love the idea that look for anybody of us that with our Fire logo, and we love to help people to become digital. How a digital product could help to you to scale your business, to check another opportunities in your business, or how to sell more in your business. It's our challenge, is to help entrepreneurs, small companies, big companies, to become digital and to make money in a scalable way in digital terms.
Any risks or threats you see in the road?
I don't see. I mean, it's like, okay, Raul, you are in this environment, so the answer is no, because it's your interest. And I mean, it's true, because when you want to open a restaurant, you have a lot of risk, because you have to choose the right place, you have to rent the place, you have to paint white or red or blue, and any decision is so critical with a lot of risks. In digital environment, the risk is so low, because you could invest as much as you have in many different ways to be compliant with your goal, linked with your investment. So the risk is so low. Yeah, of course you have risks. I say many times that the main risk in digital environment, in this kind of strategy, is your time. So you have to put your time or your team time in the table.
Thank you, Raul. Jaime.
Yeah, in our sector, especially on the public funding side and helping companies get public funding, I think there's a huge opportunity for digitalization, because many times it's an obscure world. It's not even that easy to know if you meet the requirements to apply for public funding. And I think I actually make always the joke that we shouldn't be needed, the consultants for public funding. It should be something much easier. So both from the administration side and also from the consultant side, of course, we will need to build much more digital tools, tools that are able to adapt to each company's particular situation, such that we remove that obscurity of this world. So I think, well, already some platforms like Fundit are working on that and doing a great job, but I guess it's still much more to go to clarify all that part for sure.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Jaime. Antonio.
For me, the challenge, and I'm going to go back to the translator profile, I think it's really important to have these translators between the digital world and the real problem world. So we need, and you can either come from the problem side and become more digital, or you can become from the digital side and learn what the problem is. But I think it is really important to have more hybrid people. So, and the sooner we met them, like when you're studying mechanical engineering, if you are already with the digital gene inside, you're digital. So I think the sooner the better.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you very much.
Out of time, and I have to be a bit strict on the time.